We're getting fancy today. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Drunk Camera Reviews. I know it's been a while. Haven't had a camera to review in a little bit. So I decided to pull one off my shelf. That was kind of just dropped on my lap from my girlfriend. Because it's not a really special camera. I mean, it's special in a way that it's seen a lot of stuff, but it's not a very expensive camera. It checked on eBay, it usually runs it for around like $20 to $50, but it's the Petri FT with the Petri 55mm f1.8 lens. Now this camera is really common. Well, not super common, but I mean I had never even heard of it until it was sitting on a shelf. But it's a pretty basic camera. There's not much to it. It's got your basic shutter speed, aperture. It does have a meter, but I'll go over all that later. Now this camera belonged to my girlfriend. It was her grandfather's. And this camera went through, I do believe, 2 wars. It went to the Korean War and the Vietnam War. So it's seen some shit. And it took a lot of good photos. And the main reason why you see I have this little slide projector here is this is also Sarah's grandfather. And I'm gonna show you some of my favorite slides that he's taken. And they're all on Kodachrome. So A+ for him choosing good film. And also it's kind of cool because this Kodak Carousel S is, well, I tried to do some research up on it, but there's not too much on the Kodak Carousel S other than that it's really one of Kodak's first slide projectors, and it still works amazingly. It works very well with these slides, and there's something very unique about viewing slides on a slide projector being blown up on a wall. It's basically like seeing them on the wall in a picture frame, except you can go through oh, Garrus, hey, stop that. Motherfucking cat rubbing his ass on the carpet. Another thing. You may wonder why I'm drinking wine. It's because Sarah went down to Las Cruces, New Mexico, where she used to go to school, and brought me back one of my favorite wines from one of my favorite wineries, which is St. Clair. And I only found out about them because Sarah lived in New Mexico, and she took me there, and all of their wines are super nice. So she brought that back for me, and I figured I would drink it and tell you guys about it because it's great. And I have my one wine glass, which is meant, I guess, to help keep up with some portion control. Or else I mean, how much of I'm almost down to half the bottle. A third of the bottle. Now a little bit of background about Petri. It was founded in 1907. In Japan. So it's been around for a pretty good while. Prior to World War II, it was known as the Kodabayashi camera industry. And I guess they made a lot of stuff. In 1962, they changed their name to Petri. So now that's why we have the Petri name. Now the first Petri SLR, they made some rangefinders, which was actually pretty nice. Their first SLR was the Penta in 1959, which used the universal M42 screw mount, but then they switched over to having a simple bayonet mount, which actually mounts pretty easy. You just line up the red, twist that, and there you go. It's on. And it's pretty sturdy. But after doing that for a while, they moved back to M42. I mean, you can't knock them. M42 is a pretty good, I mean, it's such a simple lens mount. It's like the M39 mount for Leicas. The old screw mount Leicas. But the sad thing is, Petri didn't last too long in the camera industry. In 1977, they filed for bankruptcy due to just other camera manufacturers' increased mass production and electronization of cameras. They just couldn't keep up. So now they just make telescopes. Yeah, I mean, telescopes are cool. Not cameras, but now a little bit more about this camera. Just general overview of what the body has on it. As you can see, there's not really much to it. I mean, you have on the top plate, rewind, not the fucking, on the top plate you got your shutter advance, your film advance, and your rewind. Rewind's over here. I don't know why I always say this is the shutter rewind. This is the shutter rewind. Anyways, you've got your ISO selector dial, which for the built-in meter, which it's got a little battery thing right there. It's very easy to undo, but there's no battery in it currently. As I say, it's easy, and my sweaty ass fingers can't even undo it. Well, that's where the battery goes. Uses a mercury cell battery, which they don't make anymore, but you can get adapters, which will just change the voltage. I think it's 1.35, or because most of them are 1.5, the nickel batteries. But anyways, on the front of it, so you got your lens. Now, this lens, the aperture's broken. It's stuck at, I don't even know, f8 to f11. Doesn't go any wider, so maybe I'll look on eBay, find a 55 f1.8 and replace it. But one interesting thing about this camera is the shutter release is right here. It's not up top, so you wind it up and just, which surprisingly, when it's in the hand, it's kind of weird because you're having to hold it like this, not like this. So you're kind of, maybe you can just use this finger so you can hold it like this, rewind and fire it. But I don't know, it's very funky. I haven't seen too many cameras with the shutter release right there. The other thing you have is your timer, which you just roll that back, do that. There you go, self-timer. And now the other little lever we have here, this is actually for the meter. So you want to meter it, you don't push the shutter in, you push this in, and that will give you a little match dial needle, which goes back and forth, and you basically have to move a little circle using the aperture or shutter speed until it reaches that circle. It's pretty simple, but I know my Rolly 35S has the exact same thing. I don't know, and you see him on the back, Major Kennedy. That was my girlfriend's grandfather's title. He just put it on there. And I think this is the last service. April 21st, 1992. It was before I was born. Shit. And you have a little past thing here, which I do believe it has a little 1969 on there. So potentially this camera could have been brought about in 1969. That's the only, apparently there's very little info on the Petri FT on the internet. I'd have to do way more digging than I would actually want to. But it's just such a simple little camera. You just pull this. This is actually interesting because I've never seen one where you actually have to pull this up on the side to flip this open. And as you can see, it's very, very basic inside. That's your little teeth, rolls the film forward, that's it. Tripod mount. You also have a flash socket. Now, Sarah's grandfather obviously used a lot of flash photography, as I'll probably show you in some of my favorite shots that he's taken, which in some of the pictures he's actually in, you can see the camera and it has a very large flash bulb flash attached to it, which I wish we still had that, but currently that wasn't in the collection that Sarah received. So basically all we have is very simple SLR, made in Japan in the 1960s, 70s, and it survived 2 wars. And if that's not durability, I don't know what is. And it still works. So, well, I mean, it was last served in 1992, probably. So at least it still works, and I have yet to take any photos with it, but I will just let Sarah's grandfather's photos show you how well it is. Okay, and we're back, and now you can definitely see it's a lot darker, and I've had a few more drinks, so now we're going to attempt to go over some photos that we're taking with this camera on some nice Kodachrome film that has been sitting in boxes for I don't know how many years. Most of these were taken during the late 50s, early 60s. I think this one was like 1960. The timestamp is on the film. You can probably hear that's the sound of the fan coming from this projector. It's loud as it's loud as shit. One of the first set of photos that I really liked was from a horse race. I mainly love them just because you get to see some really great outfits, and the color that Kodachrome retains, especially in the reds, I find super pleasing because it's got really vivid reds that really don't get from many other films, but you do get it from Kodachrome. Yeah, I really love these. And let's go to the next one. Yeah, I mean, you can't really see it too well on the camera, but the reds just look so nice. Bokeh is actually surprisingly good from that 50 f1.8. I mean, he mainly used it stopped down because that was probably the easiest. Let me see if I can do some. Now it's a little darker, but you can really see how bright, how vivid those reds are in his jacket. And honestly, when I first went through these, I basically just sat on the floor with like a white poster board, just going through every single slide that he had, and they were just, I just love the color. Some of them turned out like just red, like a complete red tint over the entire thing, which I think was due to a developing error, as I just think that's what happens, because I've heard you can still develop Kodachrome in black and white, but I've never tried it. So yeah, horse race, those two photos I really enjoyed. This was another one. I need to remember where the fuck it came from, because I think he wrote on there where this slide came from. Hang on, I'm gonna go back to the red one. We'll go back to the horse race. Let me see if it says where this is from. It does not. Wait. Nope. Doesn't say where it's from. So, did I load it upside down? Here's another photo that I really liked. I'm from Pennsylvania, so the winter, I love winter. So I really enjoyed this winter setting that he captured, and I think it's a little bit out of focus. There we go, perfect. And I'm like, this looks like a typical winter in Pennsylvania, but I think it's in Ohio or Alaska. I do believe Sarah's grandfather grew up in Ohio, but did some stays in Alaska, I think during the Korean War. I'm just guessing, so don't take me by my word, but love this photo. Here's another one that I like, strictly because I love classic cars, and I don't know, there's really just nothing else other than me liking what is that? Is that fuck, I forget what that is. I need to go to my, I need to actually look that up. I don't feel like looking it up right now, but I love classic Chevys, so I liked this picture. There's not much more to it. I mean, other than that, this photo is kind of like, it's very bland, but loved it. Loved it just for the car. Here's another one. It's a little bit dark, so I'm just gonna have to brighten it up in the camera a little bit. This one was labeled, and this is in Korea. This is in South Korea. And I thought it was just a beautiful landscape shot, and I just want to make sure I'm getting the perfect exposure for it so that you can really see all the detail to it. And there's great detail still in the clouds, great detail in the foreground, background. You can really, I mean, this is blown up to probably about 20 by 30 on the wall here, and it looks fantastic. And granted, these are almost, I would say, 50-year-old slides, and they're still holding up good detail. Good on you, Kodak. Made some good shit. Oh god, bright snow. Let me just crank it back down. There we go. So yeah, this is another one. I do believe I think this was from, it's either Alaska or Korea. I know it's a big jump. I like this photo just because I love snow. I love all settings with snow. And god, this fucking thing is so noisy. Can you just relax for a bit? Stop jiggling. Another one I thought was very funny is, I do believe this is a frat. I just thought it was very funny because I'm like, wow, this is what frats used to do back then? And as you can see the red hue on the film. So I guess that's just from a developing error, but I still liked the photo. Hey, maybe you even know these people. I don't even know. These could be photos that nobody's ever seen before, and I'm just showing them to the world right now. It's weird, but I think I don't know. I think people should see photos. This one I liked because it's my home city of Philadelphia, and I recognize none of the buildings. I love the cars because, I mean, it's all classic automobiles, but it's a really neat little factory landscape. We've got a lot of little row homes over there. I've seen a ton of those, been in a lot of those. It's a nice little cityscape. All right, let me just bump the exposure on this one and refocus it. Oh, it's way out of focus. There we go. This is another shot from Korea, and as you can see, he's driving down the street, shooting out the passenger side of the vehicle, and there's a bunch of school children on the side of the road. I just thought it was neat because it's just what you would see driving down the street in Korea back in the 60s. Thought it was kind of cool. Another shot from Korea. This one is downtown, somewhere downtown. Maybe it's Seoul, or I don't know. Is that how you pronounce that? Seoul, South Korea? Or somewhere, a city in South Korea, but this is just the pedestrians on the sidewalk. Thought it was kind of a neat shot. Here's another one in Korea. There's a lot of ones from Korea that I like just because it's a place you've never been, and there's a lot of people. Then you get to study the people. So I really love doing that. This is just, I guess, traffic in Korea. And I think this is the second to last one. And this one I do believe is Austria. If I remember correctly, let me just dim it down. As you can see, it's high up on a little mountain overlook, looking down on some buildings way down there. But I think this one's actually pretty neat. There's another one that I liked. I don't think I added it in here. I don't know, maybe I'll go grab it real quick. And then this is the last one that I picked, strictly because it's at the beach, and I do believe this is Spain in the 60s. And as you see, they got their little pop-up tents, they got the campers. I think it's is that a Corvair? I think it's a Corvair. Looks like a Corvair. But this is like the ideal life. Like I love the beach. Again, being from Pennsylvania, went to New Jersey beaches all the time. So I love the beach, and I love these little tents that they had to camp out at the beach. They got their nice Corvair. I love the Corvair. So I really just love these photos. And I think that's it. Oh, yeah, that's it. All right, so thank you once again for stopping by and watching one of my silly camera review videos, even though this one may not have been as informative as the other ones. If you liked it, give it a like. If you got a camera you would like me to review, shoot me a comment or an email. Leave my email down below. If you want to send me a camera, if you are brave enough to send me a camera, I've already had one person send me a camera. I need more cameras. I'm running out of cameras to do. Please send me a camera, any camera. I don't care. I'll take pictures with it. I'll give it lots of love and then send it back to you, of course. So if you'd like to do that, send me an email. Anyways, I'm going to finish the rest of this bottle of wine, and you have a great night.